shall recite the clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The drums shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. With my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. With my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I.
Man. All right. Proverbs. Turn over to Proverbs. We are going to start looking at topics, different subjects that are tackled in the book. Because you can't do you kind of get the first 4 chapters. You can kind of get some of that really into chapter 5. But after that, they're just so, every verse is, you can't study it like that. And so you have to kind of pull out the different flow of the themes and the different subjects that it deals with. And so we're going to be doing that over the next several weeks. So hope that you'll be looking forward to that. And so we said last week we're going to talk about kind of this idea of friendship, a little bit even kind of neighborly. I think it goes without saying we live in a world where people are really, friendship is really in need, I think. Why do you think maybe more than ever? It's there was a recent, let me give you a recent study, and this was over 10,000 people. The Cigna, conducted by Cigna, they found that 54% of Americans say they are either always or sometimes feeling as though no one knows them well. So let me translate that they don't have really a close friend. So what do you think about that? Why is that a struggle? Why maybe even more so than ever do we think that that's a need, a great need for friendship? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those first relationships that are the strongest are often, formed in family units, and then it's also a training ground for how to have healthy relationships with other people when you've had that in your family. But yeah, the first relationship is greatly damaged nowadays because of that. What else think causes this great need? Yes.
Well, when I worked with a juvenile system,
Mm-hmm.
there was a young man when he found out that I went to the Church of Christ, and he said, I used to go to the Church of Christ when he was little. And I said, well, what happened? I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, as I got older, he said, I didn't think anybody really cared.
That's a real problem. We live in a very a world that doesn't often stop to care and be interested in the individual. We're very individualistic, therefore we're not thinking about others. I'll tell you the biggest thing I think, right there, right here, is killing relationships. Not in necessarily in my generation. I think Maggie and I have talked about, we were kind of that Gen X, kind of that last generation that kind of got to live normal and have normal childhood. Those that were you boomers, we're your kids. Gen X is. So we're those born in the late 60s up till about 81. But after that, it's this thing. These kids that were born in the mid-late 80s, and now the technology has really made us more isolated and alone. We also don't know how to interact. I've talked with boys especially, guys that have, how do you, even like asking out a girl, and I sent a message and I got no reply. Well, you might have to do the old school way, pick up the phone or actually see her in person and talk to her. But, people don't know how to what? They don't know how to communicate, converse, and talk. And that's a big part of relationship building. You can't just build relationships online or through texting or TikTok or whatever. And I'm not against all those things necessarily, but I think that's a great contributor. Any other thoughts on that? What's caused this great need? Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I like this quote. Thomas Aquinas said a long time ago, "There is nothing on this earth more to be prized than true friendship." And I think that is a lot of truth there. The blessing that's found, one of the great blessings in life to be prized is friendship. And so let me ask you this. What is it that makes a good friend then? What are some good traits? Again, we're going to be talking about, no doubt, some of these that you're going to mention. But what is it that makes a good friend then, the good traits that you think about? A good listener? Yeah, absolutely. What else you think about? A good friend, good traits. What? Loyalty? Yeah. Put the other person before yourself? Yeah, they're very giving and self-sacrifice. And yeah, what else? Think about things that you think of. Good traits. Do what? Trustworthy. Yeah. Loyal. Yeah. Being available. Yeah. You got to make yourself there to be present. And do what? Discreet. Yeah. That's that trustworthy. Well, other things you think about makes for a good friend. Big shoulders. Yeah. We got to carry a load. We got to help each other. Bear burdens. Do what? Yeah, this idea of forgiveness, being not keeping score, and absolutely. Relationships are messy, and sometimes we're going to let each other down. And yeah, Dolores? Wounding, yeah. I bet we're going to talk about that. Absolutely. Being honest doesn't mean, or loving someone doesn't mean you just ignore the harder things. Yeah, these are all good. You've actually taught my class, so now you may go home. No, you're not getting off that easy. Getting off that easy. You're not even going to get close. All right, let me give you some of these that I think, and these are not exhaustive in the book of Proverbs, but these are, I've got 5 that I think are, and then I added a 6th one just also to kind of be a little bit lighter on the light side that I think you'll see when we get to that. But a true friend is wise and godly. Now, wisdom, we've said, is the application, right, of knowledge. And so we want to be a friend. We want friends that give us godly wisdom. Now, we're not going to go back and read, but from Proverbs 1, beginning in verses 10 through 18, remember it talked about don't go along with those who are evil. Don't run around with them. Don't hang out with those because they're not wise. They're going to bring you down. And so that's this idea. Look, Proverbs 13:20. Who'd like to read that? Proverbs 13:20. Who's got that for us? These are going to be real easy to read. Okay, Dolores. And then Ivana will get you to do Proverbs 27:9 just a minute. Okay, Dolores. Okay, and then Ivana, go ahead and read yours, Proverbs 27:9. Okay, so Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm. Now let me ask you, have you ever suffered harm because you ran around with some foolish people? Did you catch any shrapnel from the damage from running around with someone that wasn't really wise? Yeah, I mean, you get hit too, right? Even if you're not the one necessarily, completely doing there's guilt by association, there's trouble by association, right? And that's exactly right that the Bible warns us about. And so being a good friend starts with choosing good friends, godly friends, wise friends. Now, we can't separate from the world. And as a matter of fact, we're talking a lot about influence right now. And this is, I think, as important as well that we stress this. We want to be able to influence others with godly wisdom. So we need to be around people of the world who are not, but we're not getting our cues from them. We're not joining our hearts and minds and lives to be like them. We're developing relationships and friendships and connections so that we can help influence others. And I think that's real important there. And then the Ivana read for us there in Proverbs 27:9. It's a statement there. Perfume and incense brings joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice. And we would tack on there this idea of godly advice, those that are seeking to do the way of God. Now, here's the thing. Are there things that God's going to teach us that are going to go against the advice of the world? Sure. So you're going to have people in your life, friends, family, who are often going to give us counsel that in worldly standpoint is, makes sense, right? But is it God's counsel, right? Somebody wrongs you. Boy, you can't let them do that. You got to push them back. You got to, you don't turn the other cheek. You smack their cheek, right? Stand up for yourself. That's right. You just think about all the advice that people can give, and sometimes they're right from a worldly standpoint. Yeah, you could be taken advantage of. You could be pushed over. You could be put yourself vulnerable in a position.
There's a difference, though, in standing up for yourself and retaliating.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There is.
And saying you can't treat me that way any longer.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's just one example that you could think of the world may say, do whatever it takes, do whatever you have to do, just name it, right? Steal, lie, cheat, push them over, shove them out of the way. I mean, you just think about whatever the world, and there's people who they do pretty well in this life if you look at them. Have you seen some people who lie, steal, cheat, push, shove their way to the top and have done pretty well in life? You can do this. Have you worked with any people? Have you had any companies or bosses or owners that you think, boy, they are the crookedest? I can't believe sometimes what they do. And they've been successful from a what? Worldly standpoint. Now, we know ultimately you reap what you sow. I'm not saying everybody's always going to get by with it without earthly consequences, because God does build that principle in, that peace and prosperity also comes to people who do what's right. But I'm just saying the way of the world is often going to conflict. And so I have told people in the church, you have to be on guard because the closest people in your life are often going to give you ungodly, unscriptural advice. You know what I'm talking about? And we're going to be tempted to believe it and accept it. Why? Because that's our mother. That's our father. That's my brother. That's my cousin. We've known each other 40 years. Why would he give me bad counsel? If his mind is not what? Or her mind is not godly. And so be careful with that. And who we seek advice from. And they've got to be a people who have God's wisdom. And so we want to have that. We want to help others. To iron sharpens iron, Proverbs 27:17. And so we want to help make others a better disciple of Jesus Christ. And we've got to do that with godly wisdom and godly counsel. That's what friendship is built on. Bible friendship is the counsel of the wise, of the godly. All right, so let's keep moving here. Second one, and you stop if you want to add to or take away, though. So if you got something that injects or a scripture comes to mind from somewhere else, even outside of Proverbs, just jump in there. Another thing, a good trait of a good friend, I think, is to be encouraging and positive. Let's read these here. Someone get Proverbs 11:12. Who's got Proverbs 11:12? Okay, Jeff Poe. Proverbs 20:19. 20:19. Okay, Ron. And then Proverbs 26:18 and 19. Okay, Kathy. All right, Proverbs 11:12. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get all of them. Proverbs 20:19. Okay, and then Kathy. Proverbs 26. Okay, so each of these deal with different aspects, but I think are all saying the same thing, is we need to be, and we're going to talk about our words, so I didn't add that one here tonight. We're going to talk about our speech. That'll be another, but our encouraging, positive is what we see here. Proverbs 11:12 again. Whoever derides their neighbor has no sense, but the one who has understanding holds their tongue. Now, I don't know if you're a half glass empty, half glass full person. I don't know where you're at on this, but I think we've got to be a people who are overall encouraging and positive. And that starts with our words. And again, we're going to talk about our words in just a little bit. But we have the opportunity to tear down or build up. And what do we spend our time doing? We have to each ask ourselves, what's my day like mostly? When my words, with my actions, do I discourage? Do I tear others down? Am I negative? Am I complaining? Am I griping? Am I criticizing? Am I just, with my body language and my behavior, am I positive? Am I encouraging? I ran across one writer that said, our job is to plant seeds, not pull weeds. And so often that's what we want to do, is we just want to go around and just point out everything that's wrong and everything that's bad and everything that needs to be corrected. And we're not saying, as was mentioned, a good friend is someone who loves and speaks the truth. And we're going to come back to that. But, when I have talked more with people over the years with the Bible, I've moved away from some of that kind of negative, well, we're just terrible sinners and we're just so bad and wicked and You know, oh, you're doing this or you're doing that, and that's sinful. And I kind of like to approach it more of a positive. Like, God made us in His image. He wants to have a relationship with us, but sin has wrecked that, has destroyed that in our lives. And it's a just different approach, how you approach people versus, you know, you're bad, you know, kind of with the shaking their fist and pointing their finger. Yeah, we got to deal with sin and stuff. Absolutely. That's the heart of the gospel. But I think a big problem in the church has often been our destructive nature when it comes to our words, our speech, gossip. I think someone mentioned, I think, about being trusted with not spreading something, and that's what Proverbs, which one did say that? Proverbs 20, or which one was it, 20 or 26? I can't remember now. What was 2019 again? Yeah, gossip betrays confidence. So avoid anyone who talks too much. I think that idea of telling something that you shouldn't be telling. Now, how do we get around that sometimes is, well, I'm concerned about them and I want you to be aware. And especially now, here's the line you can use to really gossip. I'd like for you to pray. Come on now, I've grown up in the church, so I'm going to have a little fun here. Prayer requests turn into what? Gossip time. Absolutely, I've seen it. Well, we need to pray for Sister Johnson because, you know, her and her husband are really having, matter of fact, he yelled at her the other night and they had to call the police, and we just really need to pray. And they're struggling with their, you know, he lost his job because of his drinking, and I'm up there as the class teacher going, "Will you quiet? How do you know all that?" Well, we just need to pray. We all need to be praying. Yeah, and we need to quit gossiping. Now, here's another one. Well, it's true. That don't matter. So, all right, I'm having a little fun with you, you know, in the church. But I've sat in Bible class right here, not necessarily here. You guys are pretty good with that, not to do that. But I've sat in church. You're pretty good at not doing it. Yeah, let me clarify. Not doing it. You're really good. But I've been in the church my whole life. And so I just think we got to be careful because nothing destroys our trust and credibility as people, as Christians. If they can't trust us with those kind of things,